welcome back to A Game of Fangs and Thorns. My name's Hannah. I write books and occasionally I read them too, and this is just a little weekly vlog because I am enjoying them. I didn't do one last week for reasons, but we'll just quickly gloss over. I did intend to edit Dragon book, Rise of the Riders, which would be my third self-published, while plotting for the third magic book. Can I just pop you here? Let's see. There we go. I have a little phone stand. Yeah, I was planning on plotting one book and editing the other, but then life got in the way. I decided it would be a good idea to gut my bedroom because I want a desk and a chair up there, because currently I'm working on the sofa or I'm working in bed and it's not great long term. And as I'm getting more and more into this publishing malarkey, that's what I want to do. I want to take it more seriously, and that starts with having the right tools for the job. Oh, we'll pop you there. So that's where we're at. So it is Saturday, it's 8:20 in the morning. You might be able to hear various heaters, and I think the kettle has just gone off, so I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. Yes, no real plans for the weekend. I'm just meeting up with a few friends, one today and hopefully one tomorrow. And then I would like to do some work this weekend, but I'm not going to hold myself to an impossible standard. If I don't feel it, I'm not doing it. It's what I feel on weekends. Just because, you know, it's a weekend. I work a full-time job. I am allowed some time off. Well, technically I have 2 full-time jobs, if you think about the author. But I have some books to send into Vinted, through Vinted. But first, like I mentioned, I'm gonna have a cup of tea. I'm working my way through Bird and Blend's Chocolate Digestive, and I'm going to read while I have my morning cuppa. Yes, I am living up to the English stereotype of tea and reading, but it's on a Kindle, and I like tea. Okay, so let me just pop you down here. It's now Monday. I love how I say I always start a vlog on a Saturday, and I conveniently forget to update you all weekend. So in terms of that, I did go out with my friend. Didn't on the Sunday, but had a nice chill day instead. And now we're on Monday. So I have dropped off 2 Vinted parcels. So that's good. That is 16 on 6 books going to new home. I hope whoever's bought them enjoys them if you do watch my videos. But I hope you will enjoy them and that they get to you quickly and safely. But I did also finally finish the squares I was making for January's reading blanket. They're just above you, I can't be bothered to get them. And I've made a start on February's. I can show you one, it's here. But I don't know if my camera is going to pick up on... Oh, it does. You can see the basket weave. Well, actually, that side. Which side's better? Which side is the right side? I can't remember. But yes, I think this is the right side. But yeah, I worked on that. I have the second squared down on the floor. But tonight, because it is still early-ish and I've set myself an achievable target, I hope, I have a chapter of Rise of the Rider to edit, and then we'll just sort of go from there, I think. Okay, so it's now Wednesday. I'm just going to turn the light on. Is that better? I think that's better. My hair looks like this because I've just been in the shower. It's about like 7 o'clock and I have updates. So if you aren't aware, I'm currently writing 2 books. I have 2 series on the go. I have my Rise of the Rider series. Well, I think it's going to be called the Rider series, but at the moment I have 1 book in production, let's just say. And that is I've just finished the first draft, so I'm working on editing that. And then the other series I have is my magic series, A Little Piece of Magic from Witches and Wolves. So I'm working on book 3 of that series. That is just in the the plotting, outlining stage at the moment. So, updates. As you may know, I work a full-time job, which does, that job does afford me a lot of downtime. Yep, you are resting on your cup. Let's just move you. Can I move you to get my cuppa? Right, you are precariously balanced, but you are balanced because I want my cuppa. I'm living up to the British stereotype of cups of tea, aren't I? But not sponsored, but this is the Bird and Blend chocolate digestive tea. It's beautiful. Oh yes. But we'll pop you back there. So as you know, I have a job that allows me a lot of downtime, and in that downtime I am allowed to write or draft, whatever you want to call it. And I was working on the outline for book 3 and decided it wasn't working. I just got up to sort of the climax of Act 1, and then there was the big plot point in the climax I had originally plotted to be later, but when I was writing the outline it sort of came together that this was going to happen earlier, and I had my bit moan and my bit grump about it and my why no, this is not what I wanted. But in the end, the muse, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, was right. That plot point works so much better being closer to the start, because it means my main story can get going a bit quicker. And I am so excited to write that. I have a little bit left to sort of finish on the plotting side of things, my plot points, and then I can outline, and my outline is sort of join the dots, telling myself the story, and then with each draft we hopefully get more information and more detail. Now that's where we're at with Magic Book 3. In terms of riders, I had a bit of a dilemma this morning. So the first couple of chapters in Riders are longer, in comparison to the rest of them. They are about 2,000 to 3,000 words. And when I was first editing it, I thought, nope, we're going to make it all 1,000 words. Realising, well, mainly because I wanted to split my first chapter. But then when I got to the old chapter 2, new chapter 3, I realised that wouldn't work, having them all at 1,000 words. So I had a bit of a dilemma. Do I put chapters 1 and 2 back together, or do I try and bulk them out? And I think I'm going to bulk them out, because then I can get a bit more of an emotional kick. Well, not an emotional kick, but a sort of build up on some friendships and some relationships that do rely on a lot of the audience, the readers, seeing that this is a thing we are supposed to care about. And at the moment, I don't think I have that. Certain scenes later on don't hold as much of an emotional impact as I want them to. So that's that. Tonight's plans. It is Wednesday, so Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte has uploaded her weekly vlog. I want to watch that. I do want to try and sort out the whole chapter 1 and 2 situation for writers, and then maybe do a bit of knitting or cross stitch. I think I'll probably leave my hoodie to the weekend, just because we've got to the point where it's sewing and I need light to be able to sew everything together properly. And half of it's upstairs and half of it's downstairs, so there is that too. So I think I've rambled on for long enough. I'm just going to dive right into it, I think, and then I'll come back to you at some point, probably tomorrow, with an update. I quite like this angle. I'll try and remember how I got this so I can use it in future videos and future clips. But it is now Thursday. Last night I did finish the sort of Addy bit. Where was I going? What are words? It's Thursday. I finished the addition that I wanted to do to the new chapter 1. There we go, that's what I wanted to say. And I did work a little bit on the new chapter 2, but then it got late and I had to sleep because I have a day job, which isn't too bad actually. But in the day job, I managed to replot everything. I don't know if I mentioned that I needed to replot things. I think I did, but I wrote out my new plot points, and that was surprisingly satisfying. This is going to be a dark book. But yes, I did that. I worked on the outline some more. I think I'm probably just coming up to the obstacle in the second obstacle in Act 2. So I think I'm just coming up to possibly the halfway mark. And that is day job downtime, Hannah's problem, let's just call it. So tonight it is time to write. I do want to finish sort of chapter 2. I did have a goal of trying to get to 7 chapters this week, before realizing that I was underestimating the amount of work that was needed. So I think we're just going to alter the expectation, because this year for me is all about peace and balance. So that's peace of mind, peace of self, just mental peace, mental clarity, doing things because I want to, and not stressing about the things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. That's where balance comes. That's where the word balance comes in for me as well, because I have a tendency to hyper focus, hyper fixate and on things, and I may have a slight touch of perfectionism as well. So balance is a word and a focus to try and stop me focusing too much on one particular thing. I have lots of skills, lots of talent, and it's just as important to cultivate those skills and those talents as it is to finish the books. So, and that being said, a lot of my day is taken up by work, so I need a way to... Oh, I like this light is very... This light is yes. But anyway, before I get distracted again, I'm going to do something. I do want to paint do my nails again, but I think I'm going to wait until this comes off, and then, don't know if you can see it, but those light lilac-y boxes are some nail stuff, so not sponsored. I actually got them from my sister, I think. Anyway, yes, time to do some work. I will at some point I will show you my setup, but at the moment it's not great and I don't want to show it. Oops. I am updating you a little bit later than I would probably normally like, but in my defense I got distracted by measuring my room to see if and where I can put a desk, and then that led to a rabbit hole of what other furniture do I need and can be replaced in here. So yeah, it's 9:15 and I have been editing for a while. I am on the new chapter 4, which is the second half of the old chapter 3, and it does need a lot more work than the previous ones, because the old chapter 3 was the start of my inciting incident, but I think because that is quite an emotional part, and it is Riley's driving force, not Riley, Aurora, sorry, wrong story, because it is her driving motivation for the first half of the story, I would say. It does have to have that emotional kick, and it does have to make sense. Right, can't see my address, but you know. So yes, we are making things hurt, basically. And I've got 328 words down on the new chapter. And is it the laptop light that is just hitting, or is it a combination of the laptop, the TV, and the big light? Let's just see what happens when I turn on the lamp. Okay, I think that might be too bright, but it's on now. We're going to live with it. So yes, it is easier to see what I'm doing now, so that is a plus. But yes, and in terms of Magic Book 3, it does have a name. I'm not going to announce it just yet, just because I don't want to start that project yet. That is my April project for Sarah Cannon's rough draft project, so I will announce the title and go into a bit of detail in the April vlogs. So far, March is just editing and plotting. I am very close to finishing the reading book though, and I will talk to you about that when that happens as well. But I am reading The Final Strife by Sarah L. Arifi. I'm reading it on Kindle, and this is basically a tribal fantasy, I want to say, martial fantasy. I'm not entirely sure of the wording, but Who's Al? What I can tell you is that it is the first in a trilogy. It is her debut series, and I'm absolutely loving it. We have, I'm sure I've spoken to you about this, but just in case, we have 3 factions. The Ghostings, who are the lowest of the low. They have translucent blood, and because of an uprising that happened 400 or so years prior to the start of the series, they have been persecuted ever since when they are babies. This is disgusting and awful and surprisingly believable. Their hands are removed and so are their tongues, so they cannot speak, and as such they are basically servants. Then we have the next class up, which is the dusters. Now they have blue blood, and they are technically the working class, but they aren't as downtrodden and beaten up as the ghostings, but they are still treated pretty rotten by the ruling class, which is the embers. And these are our red-blooded characters, our red-blooded people, and they have the ability to blood work, which basically it's what it says on the tin. They can use their blood to do things. I'm trying to think if I think I've read another book with a similar magic style. There's probably a few out there, to be honest. It isn't a new magic concept, but it is still fun and interesting because you are limited by your knowledge of the runes and by your own strength. Basically, if you bleed too much trying to do magic, you pass out and you could die. But basically, that is the world, and obviously for the ghostings, it's pretty shit. The dusters, again, pretty shit, and the embers are loading it above everybody else. So when the story starts, we learn of something called the Night of the Stolen, in which the Sandstorm, a rebel group, steal, I think it's 12 ember babies and switch them with duster babies, raising the embers as dusters in order to complete in a trial later on to become what's known as a warden and influence ember politics from within. We follow Scylla, who is one of the stolen. That's not a secret. You find that one out pretty early on. It is a driving force for her, and she is not doing well. Let's put it that way. But within this, we follow her. She is, I guess, she's not doing well. But we also follow Hassa, who is a ghosting, who has secrets of her own. And then we follow an ember called Anua, who, no, she's a duster in the Ember Palace, and she survived because of who her sort of Ember mother is, and it would be a disgrace and probably uproot a lot of politics and Ember society if it's found out that Anua is who she says she is. So it's very interesting. It is YA, so I think it's YA. I'm not sure, but it's still good. And we get the way it's split up. We get parts, which is just the normal story. Then you get an extract of a lore or a historical event. Then you have a griot story, and now I love the idea of griots. I hope I'm saying that right, but they are African-inspired storytellers, I want to say. They are the ones with the drum. And it's just combining music and verbal storytelling, a traditional style of storytelling, with the new modern-ish way, which is by print. And I just like when stories can do that. It is a very rich world, and I could be wrong, but I want to say it is inspired by the African diaspora, the Black diaspora, and possibly Indian or Middle Eastern. I mean, that's just the vibes that I'm getting from the way the characters are described, from the fashions and the culture. And it is me. And every time the food is mentioned, it makes me hungry. But we're not reading, we are editing. although I know what I would rather be doing, but I promised myself I would try tonight. Like I say, I did get a bit of a later start, but it was a later start for a reason. Yes, I was procrastinating, but it was useful and needed procrastination. Still procrastination, but something did come out of it, I suppose. But I am rambling, so I'm going to work. So it is Saturday. It's about 1:15. I was supposed to be giving myself a day off, but I wanted to finish chapter 4, the new chapter 4, and I'm just about there. I would say I've added a new scene that has resulted in a new, semi-new character who, I'm saying semi-new because he wasn't in the, well, I can say he, because they weren't in the outline until later on, and in the outline they didn't play that much of a part, but in the first draft, when they came in, they wanted more screen time, more page time, and it worked. But this new scene early on in the story does mean we can possibly get introduced to this particular character that little bit earlier on, and it does change things for Aurora slightly, and I'm very much enjoying this. It's about, I think for me, the first draft, well, so far, like 3 books in, I think for me the outline is a very, very rough me telling myself the story. The first draft is telling myself the story with some detail, and then the second draft is just making sure that that makes sense, and then further drafts are just polishing, I'm assuming. But this is only like the second time I've used an outline, so my process is going to change, and each book will be different. Each project will be different because I will have different things that I take from it, different things to learn, and as long as I'm still learning from the process still and not being tied to one particular process because it's worked in the past, I think I will continue to grow as an author. And why didn't anybody tell me until I was 3 books in to using Scrivener that there's a page view? Why? If you don't know, I will show you. I'm giving you lots of spoilers here, but I don't care. It's only chapter 4. So I use Windows. This isn't a MacBook, so it might be slightly different on a Mac, but if you go to View, then Text Editing, and then you can see Page View. Makes things so much easier, especially since I always thought my chapters were very short. That made me very happy last night when I figured that one out. And in terms of the writing setup, because I am aware that I am sitting for long spaces of time on the bed, on an armchair with no table, I'm very aware of my posture, and if I want to make this a permanent thing, I do need a desk. So I'm working on that. If you saw my Unhold video, project Curate the Collection ties into me being able to make my space a bit more workable for where I am at the moment. So it's not just the collection of books, it's the collection of everything. So, and when it's done I will show you, I promise. It's just at the moment I have books to sell in the middle of the floor. I have some rubbish that I need to get rid of, and it's just not a particularly nice space to look at. It's functional, but it's messy, It's not dirty, it's just messy and cluttered. So that's where Curate the Collection came in. And I think what I'll do is probably, once I finish this book, the one my reading book, is I'll probably make up my rules for Curate the Collection and sort of just finalise them and do some reading vlogs on that, because everything, it's like a read it or unhaul it challenge, but everything is included in this. So I have my unhaul, my big cull of read books sorted. There are a couple that I've still got from series that I've unhauled just because I want to finish them. I've bought the book, I'll give it a try. But yes, what was I talking about? I forgot. Oh yeah, I have wrote 1,476 words today, which is about 500 words short of this entire chapter. And a lot of this chapter, I'm not going to lie, has been this new scene, a bit of world building, and introducing possibly that new character character I was saying before. So I'm going to finish this chapter because I'm so close to the end, and then I think I'm going to do something else. I might work on the hoodie I've been telling you about for like however long. All the parts are done, I just need to sew them together. So it's Sunday, and I know traditionally, historically, whatever the word is, I don't tend to vlog on Sundays, but I figured, why not? It's about 3:30, so it's not the latest I've done an update, is it? But I finished the hoodie I was working on, that's just downstairs. I finished The Final Strife by Sarah L. Oshie, and I really enjoyed that. I do think I said it was YA, it's not. I think it's adult. Not in terms of themes or violence or sexual content or anything like that. I'm just thinking it is because the characters are in their 20s. I think they're late 20s, which I think does tend to be categorised as adult rather than YA. But I mean, I think personally I wouldn't have a problem with an older teen reading it. And I did give a brief synopsis, but it did throw up. Yes, I was expecting one of the twists, but it happened in a way that I wasn't expecting personally, and it did seem to come out of nowhere, but still has a basis. It isn't totally out of nowhere. And then because I finished that, it did get me thinking. Oh, I have something to show you actually. 2 seconds. I did get an order from Charlie and Fox, and if you don't know, Charlie and Fox are a small Australian-based company that make book sleeves. I have one of their small ones already for sort of paperbacks, which is the Fourth Wing theme, and then I have a Kindle cover in the Crescent City series. So then I thought I would just expand the collection, so I got some of the When the Moon Hatched merchandise. I do think this is fully licensed, but double check that in case I'm giving you wrong information, but I do think it is correct. So we have this, which is just the giant book sleeve that does double as a very good Kindle case. Not Kindle case, sorry. iPad case. Now, I do have quite a chunky cover on here as well, but it seems to fit with no problem, and I could probably fit something else in here as well, but I'm not going to. This is where my Kindle lives. Not Kindle, it's not my books. And the Kindle app is on my iPad, but this is where my iPad lives. I can't remember what size iPad I have, because I did get it a couple of years ago, and the sizes have probably changed by then. But this does fit quite nicely, even with a fairly substantial and chunky case. But I also have a bundle. Now, this did arrive during the week. I just haven't had a chance to. I forgot I had them, to be honest, but I have. I'll just take that out. They did send a free bookmark, but we have an extra small, which is probably for paperbacks. So it says to suit paperbacks up to 20 centimeters. So I think that's probably the majority of mine. Then we have a small, which is for paperbacks and hardcovers up to 21.5 centimeters. Medium, which is tall paperbacks, and large, which is hardcovers. So I just thought I would show you, because these are so well made. They are adjustable, and they do have a ribbon bookmark as well, which I think is really cute. So yes, we have those. But I had an idea. But it's basically what I'm coming on here to ramble about. I do have my series, which is starting, which is Curate the Collection. I think I've spoken about it in this vlog already, but basically my bookcase is full, and it is spilling out onto my book cart, which is fine, but I'm running out of space. So basically, I'm just, this is my version of read it and unhaul it. But because I want to just read everything, I'm just going to give everything a fair shot, and if I like it, I will keep it. So I don't think I have any other rules, really. Since I'm not rating books either, I think my sort of caveats for things staying are, did I enjoy this? And will I reread it? I think the rereadability is what's going to probably be the deciding factor, really. So I think I'm just going to have a bit of a readathon with myself today. There are a couple of books that I know for definite that I will get rid of after reading. So I think just to even out the competition selection, I'm not sure of the wording I want to use there, but just to even that out, I think I will make a start on those ones. I don't know what I'm actually in the mood for, though. If I am in the mood for something, I know, well, not that I know, but I'm going to get rid of it, but I don't know if it's fair reading those books knowing that I have that intention and with how I'm feeling now, which isn't slumpy, but just unsure. I might pull the Illumicrate cards out, actually. Yes, that's what we'll do. So, change of plans. I couldn't find where I'd put in those cards. So I think the first book we're going to read, just because it was the first one on the shelf, really, and that is A Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is a continuation of the Grishaverse universe. It is the conclusion to the King of Scars duology, which followed Nikolai and Zoya and Nina, who are characters who sort of intertwine between the Crooked Kingdom duology and the original Grishaverse trilogy. So I do enjoy Bardugo's writing, but I think I'm a little bit more what's the word? A little bit more choosy, selective about my YA these days. And I did enjoy this. I've enjoyed every installment of the Grishaverse. I think it's just personally, it's too long of a series for me to keep on my shelf when I'm not sure if I will reread. But I'm going to give this a chance, and then I will come back to you probably when I'm about 100 pages in. My tea of choice is another Bird and Blend. This is the cream egg. Oh yeah. And I did have a taste of this in the shop as well, and yes, I like it. It's a black tea. And if you can read my mug, hey. But yes, let's get some reading done. I was surprised, but I gave King of Wolves a go. I normally try to get to about page 100, but I think I managed page 50. I can't connect with this story anymore. It's a shame because I did enjoy reading King of Scars at the time, but I think I've just grown out of this series. So fortunately, the first book of this little mini, let's call it a readathon, this little mini readathon is a DNF, which is not great for my reading stats, but great for Curate the Collection. And I think it proves that I did the right thing in unhauling Crooked Kingdom, Six of Crows, King of Scars. I did have the first 3 on Kindle, so didn't have a physical copy to unhaul, but so I think I did the right thing when I decided to get rid of these. So I think what I really want to read is Emily Wilde's map of the other worlds, other lands. But I mean, it's still not on the TBR. So, and I don't know. I will come back to you when I figure out what I want to read. So I still haven't decided what to read, but I have been working on this year's blanket. So this is January's reads. Basically, each Ruddy Brown Square is a book I've read, and it is a different knitting stitch. So this is January 6th. Yes, they are different sizes. No, I'm not bothered. So I have 3 for January, like a pyramid, a pennant, and double basket weave. So I have 3 more for February to do. But I think what I'm going to read is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherworld by Heather Fawcett. Now, this is a sequel. It is a sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, in which we are introduced and follow Emily as... What is going on with my eye? Why is it so... Anyway, I get distracted by a lot, don't I? But anyway, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies is the first book, and it follows Emily as she goes to a very cold place in the north. I can't remember what it's called, but she is there to investigate fairies. She is compiling a sort of encyclopedia of all the fairies in the known world. It is the first book of its kind, and it is a very cozy kind of story. Now, Emily is followed by Wendell, and we like Wendell. Wendell is her academic sort of contemporary / rival. You would not say they were friends, at least, you know, not to start with. Can't remember which way this goes. Yes, and they strike up in the frozen north. They realise their feelings for each other, and it is just so cute and heartwarming, and it's a nice take on the fae, especially after all. I mean, I like my dark and gloomy fae, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a cozy time with it. So we are getting on for 10 to 6 as well. So I'm going to make a start on Emily Wilds, and I think this is the end of the vlog. So subscribe if you want it, and if you like this, give it a like, and I'll see you in whatever comes next. Bye.